President Trump's war on drug trafficking just went somewhere no one expected. Inside a judge's office. 5:18 a.m., Minneapolis, Minnesota. Federal agents breach the chambers of a respected judge. Inside, they don't find case files. They find 6 kilos of cocaine, 7 firearms, and $81 million in cash, stacked behind a wall inches away from the bench sworn to uphold the law. This wasn't a cartel warehouse. This was the seat of justice turned into a supply line. And the network behind it? A hidden structure called the Narvin Cell, using courts, clinics, banks, and city offices to quietly rewire an entire state from the inside. If you think the threat is outside the system, this story will change your mind. This is FACTSCAN, the channel that decodes how power, crime, and corruption move beneath the surface of everyday America. Tonight, we go to Minnesota, where a single judge's betrayal didn't just break the law. It helped build an underground pipeline of drugs, money, and violence, protected by signatures, permits, and silence. This is the story of Operation Northern Razor, a federal strike that cut straight through the heart of a hidden network and exposed how fragile justice becomes when the wrong person is holding the gavel. Stay with me. Chapter 1: The Raid on Justice. President Trump's war on drug trafficking was escalating. Cartels declared unlawful combatants, wartime powers on the table. But while everyone looked at the border, the real battlefront was a quiet office in Minneapolis. 5:18 a.m. The city was cold, dark, and still. Frost on windshields, empty sidewalks, nothing unusual. Then the convoy arrived. Unmarked federal cars pulled up outside the office of Judge Layla Mahad. Doors opened. Boots and heels clicked on frozen pavement. FBI and DEA agents moved in silence. A battering ram hit the reinforced door. The building shuddered. Family photos beside a small American flag rattled on the wall. An oath once sworn, now hanging crooked. Agents swept room by room, drawers dumped, lights cutting through the dark. Behind a false wall, they found 6 kilograms of tightly wrapped cocaine, 7 firearms stored in foam-lined cases, a hidden safe coated in dust. Inside that safe, $81 million in sealed cash. On the judge's own desk, an unlocked phone flashed encrypted messages, routes, dates, cargo codes, all tied to CJNG-linked shipments routed through a structure agents now called the Narvin Cell. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a judge slipping once. This was betrayal built inside the law. If the idea of a judge turning her office into a cartel hub shocks you, comment "system" so more people see how deep this goes. Your comment tells the algorithm this story matters. Chapter 2: The Narvin Cell Exposed. The deeper agents dug, the worse it got. Judge Layla Mahad, 49, wasn't being blackmailed. She wasn't cornered. She wasn't trapped. She had chosen this. She built the door. She held it open. And she chose it against the country that trusted her. In just 6 years, investigators traced over $61 million in cash, another $118 million in suspicious transfers, all moving through 29 shell companies across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Panama, Curacao. Not one of those companies sold a real product. Not one had a working phone number. And yet they moved more money than some small banks. Every dollar traced back to Narvin Cell routes. The people involved weren't nameless street dealers. They were inside the system. A bank director approving transfers at midnight. A local police chief signing special access cargo screening forms. City staff quietly clearing permits for community facilities that never opened to the public. On paper, these were administrators. In reality, they were logistics officers in a criminal economy. And Judge Mahad wasn't just moving narcotics, she was moving people. More than 580 foreign recruits had been brought into Minnesota through channels linked to her network. Not families, not asylum cases, not vetted workers. Young men with violent records, gang markings, and military scars. Within just 16 months, investigators connected these recruits to 57 shootings, 91 armed robberies, 9 overdose deaths, 22 forced prostitution cases. One attack outside a supermarket in Bloomington left 2 grandparents wounded. One of the shooters carried a PCA badge from a care clinic that had billed $1.7 million in fake Medicaid services. Money meant for elderly Americans, converted into ammunition. This wasn't bribery. This was system design. A judge didn't just break the law. She built a machine around it. If that doesn't sit right with you, you're not alone. If you're still here and watching closely, hit like and comment "ROT" so this story pushes further into YouTube. The more engagement, the less this kind of story gets buried. Chapter 3: Operation Northern Razor. At dawn on a Thursday, the investigation left paper and screens and turned into something else. Boots, vehicles, orders. What started as a breach inside a judge's office became Operation Northern Razor, a federal strike designed to cut through the infection spreading across Minnesota. For weeks, in a secure command center, maps lined the walls. Red dots marking warehouses, clinics, apartments, garages. Blue arrows tracing truck routes. Circles around 2 quiet riverfront piers. From a distance, nothing looked dangerous. These were normal buildings, the kind you pass on your commute without thinking. But behind those walls, a cartel economy was running, protected by signatures, permits, and silence. 4:03 a.m. Across the state, phones buzzed with a single command: immediate attack. Over 100 federal and local units moved as one. Black SUVs rolling quietly down icy streets. Tactical vans sliding into place behind apartment blocks. Highway patrol shutting down exits. A Bell helicopter hovering over warehouse roofs. Rotor wash blowing powder snow into the dark. The first team hit a former trucking depot outside Brooklyn Park. From the road, it looked abandoned. Rusted sign, dead lights, no movement. Inside, industrial packaging machines, barrels of cutting agents, pallets of sealed boxes ready to move. 2 men ran between the rows. K9 teams took them down before they reached the exit. On a metal desk, a shipping manifest for medical supplies, destined for a clinic that did not exist. 20 miles south, another team breached a converted church basement. From the outside, stained glass and a cross. Inside, plastic tubs of pills, vacuum sealers, cash counters. The air smelled like chemicals, not incense. A volunteer who arrived early to make coffee froze in the doorway. He wasn't a shooter, but he had seen enough to know this wasn't just a misunderstanding. The hardest resistance came at a house in Burnsville. As tactical units advanced, 2 silhouettes exploded out of the garage, sprinting across the snow. No flags, no colors, just pure flight. One vaulted a fence, tried to disappear into the tree line, but a drone overhead locked a heat signature on him. Within minutes, he was face down in frozen grass, breathing steam, cuffed. By noon, 27 locations had fallen. Agents seized over 200 kilograms of narcotics, stacks of cash in vents and floorboards, laptops full of routing data, appointment books linking meetings to officials who had already quietly resigned. This wasn't a foreign invasion. It was a purge of corruption hiding in daylight. Operation Northern Razor hadn't ended the war, but it had cut into the first layer of rot. If you think these operations should never be ignored or buried, comment "Razor" so more people see what federal agents actually face on American soil. Chapter 4: The System on Trial. The raids were just the beginning. As agents processed evidence, what looked like scattered addresses became something else. A machine. Not chaos. Structure. A system that turned drugs into money, money into influence, influence into protection. Walls in the command center were covered with photos of seized bank wires, notarized letters, local approvals, purchase orders for equipment that never arrived. Each document alone could be explained away. Together, they formed a pattern. Trafficking hadn't happened in the shadows. It happened through forms, stamps, meetings, signatures. Ledgers showed monthly facility fees and security consulting payments. One line item repeated for daily 2 years. $32,000 a month to a private account belonging to a county police captain. Another payment aligned perfectly with a zoning decision that allowed a community service warehouse to hoard. That where? The Sun's bed packaging center seized in Operation Northern Razor. Emails between Judge Mahad and a bank director were blunt. Greater than, clear the transfer, no delay. Within hours, money moved. This besides back alley bribery, this was accounting as a weapon. A sheriff's department receiving donations, traffic stops mysteriously dropping near certain trucking routes, city councils approving multiple warehouse leases in 12-minute meetings. The Narvan cell didn't break into the settings, it booking typing at with. And the public finally saw it. Protests formed outside courthouses. Signs read, "If the law is criminal, what justice remains? Who protects us when protectors fail?" Inside detention, Judge Mahad stayed silent. No shouting, no denial, just staring at a wall. Hands folded. The same hands that once signed court orders, now chained at the wrist. This wasn't just one corrupted woman. It was a system that had let her flourish. If you believe corruption inside the system is more dangerous than crime in the street, comment trust, so this message reaches more people. Chapter 5: The Real Cost. By the end of the first week, the numbers were staggering. Over 240 kilograms of narcotics seized, $154.9 million in cash, coins, checks, and cards recovered. 137 individuals charged, from traffickers to clinic managers to procurement officers. But the real damage wasn't measured in bricks or dollars. It was measured in trust. Municipal offices went half empty as employees were suspended. Emergency elections were scheduled. A small-town bank locked its doors after its director was indicted. School board meetings turned heated. Parents demanded to know how bus stops had doubled as drop points. And in living rooms across Minnesota, the same sentence kept repeating. I don't know who to trust anymore. Crime on the street frightens people. Crime in the courthouse shakes the meaning of justice itself. Because this case revealed something critical. Drugs don't just arrive. They travel through permissions, through approvals, through silence. Corruption doesn't always kick down a door. Sometimes it wears a tie, attends ribbon cuttings, smiles for the camera, and signs whatever is put in front of it. That is why this breach felt so personal. This wasn't masked gunmen. It was people with titles, plaques, business cards, who chose to use their positions against the public they were supposed to protect. Chapter 6: The Fight Back. And yet, there's another side to this story. The system didn't just collapse, it fought back. Agents worked before dawn. Analysts traced every dollar. Prosecutors refused to look away.
And it wasn't only officials. A retired nurse in St. Paul walked into a federal office with records she had quietly saved for 3 years. They didn't feel right. She was right. A young officer refused a gift envelope and filed a report instead. A bank clerk printed transaction histories at midnight, tears in her eyes, because she could no longer pretend she didn't see the pattern. That courage mattered. Operation Northern Razor didn't happen because one agency decided to move. It happened because ordinary people refused to stay silent. Every voice, every record, every "this doesn't look right" moment became part of a wall against the Navant cell. In the end, Judge Mahad sat in a federal holding cell, head lowered as the weight of what she built finally settled. Outside, a reporter asked an agent, "Is this the end?" He paused and answered, "No, this is the beginning. The system is still worth fighting for." When the raids ended and the headlines started to fade, Minnesota was left with a hard truth. The biggest threat wasn't the drugs in the trucks. It was the corruption in the paperwork. A cartel can be defeated. A warehouse can be emptied. But rebuilding trust is the hardest battle of all. If you believe justice is still worth fighting for, hit like, comment, justice, and subscribe to FACTSCAN. Share this video so more people understand sometimes the most dangerous enemy doesn't break into the system. It logs in, gets a badge, and waits for you to stop paying attention. Stay alert, stay aware, and stay with FACTSCAN.